"You don't have to keep coming," the old man said, not unkindly, watching her settle into the chair beside his window. "I'm not one of your patients." Adaise Holloway set her book on her knee and looked at him. Cornelius Fatch, 81 years old, room 14, the one the nursing home staff described as pleasant but keeps to himself, which she had learned in 3 years of volunteer reading was the specific loneliness of someone who had stopped expecting company. "I know," she said simply. "That's why I come." He looked at her for a long moment. Outside the window, the late afternoon light was doing something generous with the oak trees. Then he settled back in his chair and said, "Well, what are we reading today?" She opened the book. He closed his eyes, and something that had been held very still in room 14 began, quietly, to loosen. Adaise was 25 years old and had been a nurse at Grover Memorial Hospital for 2 years. She lived 4 blocks from the hospital with her grandmother, Celestine, who was 77 and sharp as ever, and made groundnut soup on Sundays, and asked pointed questions about Adaise's life with the particular fearlessness of someone who has earned the right to care loudly. Adaise had started volunteering at Sycamore Gardens nursing home on her days off during her 2nd year of nursing school, when a professor had said something she never forgot. The loneliness of the elderly is a medical condition that no prescription addresses. She had thought about that sentence for 3 days before showing up at the nursing home with a bag of paperbacks and asking if anyone needed a reader. 3 years later, she came every Thursday afternoon without fail, rain or schedule conflict or exhaustion notwithstanding. Cornelius had been her most reserved subject. He accepted the reading without resistance, but deflected every personal question with a gentle, practiced redirection. She knew only that he had been an engineer of some kind, that he had no living family, and that he kept a single framed photograph on his windowsill, a building, not a person, which she found quietly remarkable and did not ask about. On a Thursday in November, she arrived to find him holding the photograph. He was staring at it with the expression of a man revisiting something large. He set it down when she came in, but didn't turn it face down, which was new. She sat. She opened the book. Then, gently, without pressure, "You never told me what building that is." A long pause. "Grover Memorial," he said finally, "the original East Wing." Adaise looked at the photograph more carefully. The building in the image was newer, fresher lines, a different entrance, but unmistakably the hospital she had worked in for 2 years. She looked up at him. "You built it?" "Designed and oversaw construction, 1989, took 3 years. He was quiet a moment. "It was the project I'm most proud of, not because of the building itself, because of what it made possible." He looked out the window. "I grew up in this town. There was no hospital within 40 miles. People died waiting for care that should have been 20 minutes away." He paused. "I told myself that if I ever had the means, I would fix that. It took me until I was 43, but I did it." Adaise sat very still. She was thinking about something her grandmother had told her, just once, offhandedly, years ago, that Adaise had been born 6 weeks early, and that the hospital was new, and the care had been exceptional, and that Celestine had held her granddaughter in that delivery room and wept with a gratitude she said she would carry to her grave.
She had been born at Grover Memorial, in the East Wing, in 1999, 10 years after it was built. She didn't say anything that Thursday. She read for 40 minutes, drove home, and sat at the kitchen table while Celestine made tea and asked about her day. Adaise told her about Cornelius, about the photograph, about the East Wing. Celestine set down her spoon very slowly. "Adaise," she said. Her voice was different, lower, careful. "Did you say his name was Cornelius Fatch?"
A Daisy looked at her. Celestine went to the shelf in the hallway where she kept her important papers in a brown accordion folder and returned with something she unfolded on the table. A program from a hospital dedication ceremony, 1989. On the cover, Grover Memorial Hospital East Wing, a gift to this community. And inside, among the acknowledgments in plain print, lead structural engineer and primary donor, Cornelius Fatch. A Daisy read it twice. Then she looked up at her grandmother. "He didn't just build it," Celestine said quietly. "He funded most of it himself. The hospital board ran short. He gave his own savings, everything he had at the time." She pressed her hand flat on the program. "I never knew his face, I only knew his name, and I prayed for him once, the night you came home from that hospital healthy and breathing." Her eyes were bright. "I prayed for whoever had made that place possible." The following Thursday, a Daisy came to room 14 with the program folded in her jacket pocket. She sat down in the chair by the window. She did not open the book. "I need to tell you something," she said. Cornelius looked at her with his careful, patient eyes. She took out the program and set it on the armrest of his chair. She watched him look at his own name in print, 36 years old on the page, and she watched his expression do something she had not seen it do before. Not quite crumble, something more like open. She pressed her hand flat on the program. "My grandmother kept this. She was in that East Wing in 1999. So was I." A pause. "I was born there, Cornelius, 6 weeks early. She always said the care in that wing saved my life." Her voice was steady, but only just. "I have been sitting in this chair every Thursday for 8 months, reading you stories, and I didn't know I was reading them to the man who made it possible for me to be here." The room was very quiet. Outside, the oak trees were still, and the afternoon light lay gold across the floor between them. Cornelius looked at the program for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was low and not entirely steady. "I gave that money away and never knew a single person it helped. Not one face, not one name." He looked at her. 36 years, and you walked into this room with a bag of paperbacks." A Daisy reached over and put her hand over his. She didn't need to. She kept coming every Thursday. Nothing dramatic changed, and everything quietly did. He began talking more about the building, about the town, about the 40 years of engineering work that had preceded and followed that one project. She brought her grandmother once. Celestine sat across from Cornelius for 2 hours and said thank you in a way that used very few words and meant all of them. When a Daisy arrived on a Thursday in March to find his chair empty and the room returned to its neutral institutional quiet, she sat by the window for a long time with the book unopened in her lap. On the windowsill, the framed photograph remained, a note beneath it in his careful handwriting. "For the girl who read me stories, keep showing up for people. It matters longer than you know." We do not always see the lives our kindness touches. Sometimes the person sitting across from you holds more of your story than either of you yet understands. Show up anyway. Read the story. Stay in the chair. The connection you offer today may be the one that completes something that has been waiting 30 years to be whole.
If this story touched your heart, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Let's spread more stories of kindness and hope together.